Hi, I'm Blake from Northwinds Wilderness School. Welcome to another video. If you saw our last installment, we were talking about conditioning your hands to make fire with a hand drill. Today we're going to talk about how to build your kit. As you can see, it's nice and warm where we are, so I'm going to try to make this quick. To make a kit for your hand drill, you really only need four things. You need a tinder bundle, which is going to be your very dry, very fine, very loose material. I believe this is cottonwood bark. But we're not going to talk about this very much today because we're going to do a whole video on the tinder bundle later. You also need a tray. This can be a loose leaf, a piece of bark, anything. We're just using a piece of birch bark. This just catches that dust pile. The other thing you need is a hearth board. Hearth board's pretty important. I have two different ones here. This is store-bought cedar. This is Sotol. Again, I want to thank Travis Henry for sending me all these fun hand drill toys. Sotol doesn't grow here in Minnesota. You're looking for a piece of wood that's soft enough that you can mark it with your thumbnail, and also if it's just starting to rot a little, that's not going to hurt your cause. The last thing you need is your spindle. This is really the engine that drives the whole thing. This is seep willow. Some other things I like to work with are Jerusalem artichoke, horseweed, which is also known as Canadian fleabane, and mullein. Lots of things will work, but you're looking for a fast-growing woody stalk with a pithy center. Something that's hard on the outside, soft in the middle, really gives you that good seat and that good friction. With your spindle, you're looking for roughly 18 to 24 inches, and you want something as close to straight as possible. You can see this one's not perfect, but the closer to perfect it is, the less wobble you're going to have, the better seat you're going to have between your spindle and your hearth board. This is horseweed, otherwise known as Canadian fleabane, and you can see it's got these rough stickers all over it. This would tear up your hands if you were trying to make a fire. You don't want to carve into your spindle because you're going to put gouges in it, you're risking damaging it. So what you want is a knife with a nice 90-degree spine, and you want to use the spine of your knife to scrape your spindle. You can see just in a few seconds here, I'm already having a big impact. This is already starting to be nice and smooth. It's getting that rough bark off. And you can just move your way up the spindle and scrape. Once you get this nice and smooth, nice and straight, then you've got a spindle, and that's really all there is to it. Now I want to talk about your hearth board. We have discovered that if the wood is starting to rot a little, that it burns a little bit faster, you have to put a little bit less effort into it, to the point that we have found white pine branches where the top of the branch makes a better hearth board than the bottom. When you're preparing your hearth board, there's a few stages. The first thing you want to do is use the point of your knife and just cut a little divot in here so it looks just like that. Then you want to take your your spindle, and you want to just burn it a little bit into that knife mark so you get a hole that looks something like that. Once you have that hole burnt in, then you can cut your notch. The notch is pretty important. The reason I brought this cedar lumber is so I could show you. The notch is bigger on the bottom than it is on the top. It goes about a quarter of a way to a third of the way into your burnt in hole, and it's also deeper on the bottom. This notch is really important. It's going to catch that coal and it's going to kind of compact it to create your ember. If you have really loose coal, the ember won't form or it'll fall apart, and if you're not getting enough oxygen in there, you won't get an ember. So after you've burnt this hole in and you've got your notch cut, you're really ready to go. That brings us back to conditioning your hands, making sure you're ready. 90% of making fires is preparation. Have your kit ready to go, have your tinder bundle ready to go, and have a fire lay ready to go. By the time you get that ember, you'll be glad you did. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.